Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2, Watanagashi. So last time, we pretty much finished up the Watanagashi festival, right? Keiichi and Shion and Takano went into like a storehouse, right? Filled with a lot of, I guess, killing devices, torture devices, right? And then Takano having her excitement telling stories of demons. Yeah, very gruesome, right? And then afterwards, when it ended, Shion is kind of like being, I guess, delusional or starting to be, right? Because she kept saying that I heard something like some knocking sounds, right? Or not knocking, like jumping sounds, something like that, right? And on the tips last time as well, we also see that, or Oishi said that someone died, got burned, right? And hopefully it will be revealed in today's episode. So yes, let us continue. Let us see who it is this time. Is it gonna be Tomitake? We'll find out. I let out a great big yawn. It was like morning had arrived, just as I got to sleep. As mom set up breakfast, she gave me a pained smile.
どうしたのケイチ。ゆうべは何時に寝たの？
12時には寝たつもりだけど、昨日はなんだか寝つきが悪くてさ。
I mean, I guess he couldn't sleep again because of the stories Takano was saying, right?
お祭りではしゃぎすぎて興奮して眠れなかったんでしょ。
違うよ。
Why they're eating sounds. I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. After all that happened yesterday, and our discussion about the sound Shion heard, that banging noise like a child far away jumping up and down on a wooden floor, the story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night, and I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unbearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up to the morning sunlight and birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning.
Keiichi-kun! Ohayo!
Thank God, we're back to normal.
あれ？ケイイチくん目が真っ赤だよ。どうしてだろう？
もうおはよう。どういうわけか寝つきが悪くてな。そんなわけで今日は寝不足だ。
昨日のお祭りは楽しかったね。レナも興奮がなかなか冷めなくてなかなか寝れなかったんだよ。
In Rena's case, her excitement seemed to still be wide awake.
こういうお祭りが何度もあればいいのにね。
I mean, when Rena is not in her crazy phase or crazy time, she's just very cheerful and very excited all the time.
またみんなで大盛り上がり。はう？
まあ、そうだな。
Rena talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten from last night. The inside of the ritual storehouse had been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me, the mysterious incident that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year, the strange incident where one person would die and one would disappear, the old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind him, the numerous and horrifying traditions of the Onagafuchi village, the village with demon blood in them, the terrible cannibalistic feats, the poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages, victims of Onikakushi. To quell the rage of Oyashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There were also many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either, they were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real though. Since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time.
ちゃん遅いね。
And before I realized it, we had arrived at the place where we'd usually meet with Mion. Probably because I was lost in thought.
この時間になっても来ないときは先に行ってもいい約束になってるんだけど、どうする？
Mion being late wasn't too rare an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few minutes of the ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year? Who would disappear? It couldn't have been Mion.
どうするかな、ケイチくん。もう行かないと遅刻になっちゃうかも。
来るよ。学校休むって電話があったわけじゃないだろ。もう5分待ってみようぜ。な。
Rena looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then she nodded with a satisfied smile. If we had to wait 5 minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Mion running towards us, out of breath.
みーちゃん、遅い遅い。
待っててくれたわけ？先に行っちゃってもよかったのに。
Mion was breathing heavily and her face was all red. Her house was right down this road, wasn't it? We haven't gone to Mion's house, right? I mean, to all the girls' house. Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika. It wasn't far enough away for her to end up like this, was it?
みーちゃん、ひょっとして具合悪くない？
Huh? And now that she mentioned it, Rena pushed Mion's bangs away and put her hand to her forehead.
レナの手冷たいな。
みーちゃん、ちょっとだけど熱あるよ。
Maybe she's just tired.
そんな大したことないよ。半日もすればケロッと治っちゃうって。
本当に大丈夫かよ。あんまり無理するなよ。
あれ、ケイちゃん気遣ってくれるの？嬉しいな。
The answer wasn't like Mion at all. She must have had it pretty bad.
無理しない方がいいと思うな。先生にはお休みだって伝えとくよ。
大丈夫大丈夫。風邪薬も飲んだし、すぐに効いてくると思うから。
Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us.
じゃあ行こうか。くれぐれも無理するなよ。って言いながら時間。
The time? Oh, the time, yeah. You need to run.
走らないと間に合わない。
スリリングな朝になっちゃったね。鈍った体にはちょうどいいカツかもね。走ろ。
I like that it's very slice of life again. And last episode it was very tense, I suppose, right? And now we're back to normal. Hey, wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
みーちゃんだって最上級生だよ。自分の体のことは自分で一番よくわかってるよ。
I decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine.
よし、俺たちも行こうぜ。
We began to run after Mion. Mion, wait. The school looked the same as always. The hours passed listlessly and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be world champion right now. Same. The trick to overcoming this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Why, you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. If you were holding your pencil upside down, then that wouldn't happen, would it? Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times.
いてててて、何しやがるサトコ。
私は何もしてないでございますわ。
You're lying. It was you.
お前以外にこんないたずら誰がするんだよ。消しゴムじゃなくてチョークか。え？
It's a teacher. Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold the razors, was the teacher's shadow, holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble.
前原くん、お顔を洗ってらっしゃい。
はい。喜んで。
That alone was enough to wake me up, but I flew out in the hallway as if shoved out by the pressure exuded by the teacher's sheer power. If I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. The sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. I turned the faucet with a lifeless bubbling noise. Lukewarm water came pouring out. If I let it run for a few moments, would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a little while.
やっぱケイちゃんはこっちの流しを選んだか。表の方が気分いいもんね。
ミオンか。授業サボるなよな。
I stuck my hands into the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it against my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way and Mion did the same.
ミオン、具合の方はいいのかよ。眠いのは寝不足じゃなくて、薬の副作用なんだろ？
実は内緒なんだけど、昨日はお祭りの後で親族の宴会に巻き込まれちゃってさ。それで、実はエンドレスに突入しちゃって。
A bit. She made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth. Which means you didn't have a cold or anything.
つまり、本当に寝不足なのかよ。徹夜明けならそうと言え、紛らわしい。
But yeah, how old is Mion? Maybe like 16 probably, right? She's the oldest one, right?
勘弁してよ。体調が悪いのは本当なんだからさ。
I suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Still, it treats colds and hangovers in completely different ways.
心配して損したぞ。たく、ミオンらしいというかなんというか。
Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now that I knew it was a hangover, I didn't worry too much. It would go away with time after all.
でも頭がガンガンするのは本当。だからさ、さっき先生に早退していいって言われちゃった。
ずるいやつ。じゃあミオンはもうこれで帰りなのか？
Now that I looked again, Mion had her bag with her. She must have been on her way home.
申し訳ないけどね。今日は家でおとなしく寝させてもらうわ。部活できなくて申し訳ないね。今日はケイちゃんがリーダーってことでやってくれない？
Okay.
多分無理だと思うぜ。俺たち部活は全員揃った時しかやらないっていう暗黙の了解があるだろう。ミオンがバイトに行ってる時はいつもそのままお開きだったんだぜ。
We never did it when you had to go to your part-time job, did we? Mion laughed really, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who can share in it the sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club has created, the club Mion has created is a wonderful thing. As I thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. I suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I could get in trouble.
じゃあな。俺は教室に戻るぜ。帰りは気をつけろよ。ふらふらして側溝や用水路に落ちるなよ。
I left it at that, turned around, and started heading back to the classroom.
そうそう、ケイちゃん。
Okay, Mion stopped me and I turned my head to listen.
なんだ？
変なこと聞くけど、深く考えないで答えてね。
そりゃ内容によりけりだな。
昨日の綿流しの晩さ、富武さんと高野さんに会わなかった？
The hell is traumatizing music, man? I suddenly tensed up.
富武さんと高野さんはわかるよね。ほらケイちゃん、 お祭りの前日準備の時、シオンと一緒に4人でお話ししてたでしょ？
Yes. If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the stores that night as soon as possible. So hearing the names of the people I was with at the time really got to me. Besides that, though, oh yeah. Why was Mion asking me a question like this? I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Yeah, what was she asking to see if I had seen them or not? Or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell.
さあ、どうかな。あったような、合わなかったような。
My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There was no way for me to know.
そう。
She's angry though.
じゃあもう一つ質問ね。同じく夕べ、シオンに会わなかった？
She asked this last time, right? My heart leaped into my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me.
それ、昨日も聞いたよな。
Yeah, when we were after when Shion left, right? Then they came, all of the friends. She asked Keiichi this.
俺、あったかどうかわからないって答えたと思ったぜ。
ん？そうだっけ？また改めて聞いたら、
Oh hell
違う答
no!
えが返ってくるかなって思ってさ。
Why's your eyes like that now? I suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes, something indescribable. Tomitaki-san and Takano-san, Shion too. She was asking me about them. There was no doubt about it. Last night the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? There's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. And that rather than a curse, it was doing it of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. It was nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen that momentary light and come to find out what was going on.
本当に会ってないんだね。
どうしてあったかどうかをそんなに気にするんだよ。
大したことじゃないの。富武さんと高野さんとシオンとケイちゃんをね、悪く言ってる人たちがいるの。
Okay.
何が悪いんだかはよく聞いてないんだけどね。
Unpleasant, a sweat dripped down my arms and the sound of it hanging from my fingertips was annoyingly loud.
私、ケイちゃんが悪いことをするなんて信じてないから。でも、ちょっとだけ聞いてみたかったから聞いてみたの。不愉快な思いをさせてごめんね。
I found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was, and yet I couldn't explain myself.
ケイちゃんは、富武さんとも高野さんとも、そしてシオンとも一緒じゃなかった。そうだよね。
ああ。
Yes, just say yes. I finally wrung out an answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little.
よかった。
Wait, why is she asking? What is happening with her now? Shion, last time was kinda getting, I guess, a little paranoid as well, right? Hearing stuff, and now Mion is like this. What is happening with the Sonozaki sisters?
私言っとくね。ケイちゃんは何にも悪いことには加わってないって。みんなにちゃんと言っておくからね。
Please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone, make sure everyone who is everyone.
じゃあね。
Wait, what did you say? Okay. I'll have to tell them you weren't involved in anything bad, Kei-chan, so I'll make sure to tell everyone. Okay.
明日は元気になってるから。
I got confused there.
バイバイ。
I had to double take what Mion said. Oh, wait, Mion. What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. お
ほら
GA.
遅いですよ前原くん。顔を洗うだけなのに時間がかかりすぎです。
It was a teacher. I was taking so long she came out to get me.
あ、すみません。ついミオンとおしゃべりを。
I turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it and was now standing at the gate.
さあお勉強に戻りますよ。早く早く。
The teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. I looked back one more time and Mion was nowhere in sight.
圭一、今日はずっと元気がないのです。昨日大はしゃぎしすぎたからに違いありませんわ。
迷子になって目を真っ赤にさせて半泣きしてたやつに言われたくねえ。
ゆうべのさとこちゃん、可愛かったよ。はう。
My friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? Honestly, I like Keiichi and Satoko's relationship. Like, Satoko lost her brother, basically, right? So, yeah, maybe she looks at Keiichi like he's brother. That's why she pranks Keiichi all the time, right? Their interactions, I mean, it's like a little sister and a brother. Had I really done something that terrible last night? These thoughts remain with me for the rest of the day.
じゃあね、圭一くん。また明日ね。
By the time I realized it, I was in front of my own house.
みーちゃんも風邪だったみたいだけど、ひょっとして圭一くんもなのかな
え、大丈夫だよ。こう見えても風邪で休んだことはないんだぜ。
でもみーちゃんも圭一くんも今日は具合が悪そうだし。
気にしてくれてありがとな。大丈夫。バカは風邪ひかないんだぜ。
Rena smiled and waved to me and left. With my shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavily, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me.
何？
圭一、悪いんだけど図書館に行って本を返してきてくれない？
めんどくさいな。
お父さんも母さんも今ね、ちょっと電話待ちをしてるところで家を開けられないの。返却期限も今日までだし、お願いできない？
Sheesh. I remember borrowing a book in the library back then and I didn't return it. Didn't have to do with Dad's job? No point in arguing if they bring that up.
仕方ないな。でも俺、図書館がどこにあるか知らないよ。
あら、知らないの？沖宮の駅前をちょっと進んで。
Just then, the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the receiver.
もしもし、前原です。はい？
Calm down, Mom.
はい、おりますけど。
Okay, it's for Keiichi. Then she thrust the receiver at my face.
圭一に電話よ。早めに終わらせてね。
Yes, I know. I tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be faster.
もしもし。
園崎の妹の方です。
It's Shion.
こんにちは。今はお時間大丈夫ですか？
It was Shion. The older sister had a hangover today, but the younger made no reference to it.
シオンか。ミオンと同じで、今日は徹夜明けで寝込んでるんじゃないかと思ったぜ。
それじゃあおね、今日はずる休みですか？おねらしい。
She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up.
ごめんな。ちょっと親が電話待ちをしてるんで、そんなに長話はできないんだ。何の用だ？
お話ししたいことがあったんですけど、長電話が無理じゃ仕方ないですね。
Shion sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk about? Now I was interested.
じゃあさ、会って話をしないか？ ついでに図書館にも案内してもらえるとありがたい。
図書館って駅前の私立図書館ですか？別にいいですよ。バイトのついでってことで。
じゃあいつもミオンと待ち合わせてる場所わかるか？園崎家の小道に分かれる分岐の。
あ、ケイちゃん言ってませんでしたっけ？私本家じゃなくて沖宮の家に住んでるんですよ。だから待ち合わせ場所は沖宮駅の改札前なんかにしてくれた方が嬉しいんですけど。
Main house? Living in Kinomiya? Now that she mentioned it, it always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. Did they live in different houses? Also, now that she mentioned it, Rena said she never met the younger sister despite going over to play sometimes.
じゃあ駅に集合な。
Oh, by the way, I kind of realized, remember in chapter 1 when Keiichi went to Okonomiya, right? With Oishi, and then suddenly Mion and Rena went to his house at night, right? She knows that Keiichi was there. I guess, what do you call this? Shion was working in Okonomiya, right? So she probably saw Keiichi. But yeah, they don't know each other back then, but maybe Mion was telling Shion about Keiichi and then she saw Keiichi. Then she mentioned him, right? Because they didn't explain that last time in chapter 1. Like, they just know, right? That Keiichi was there with Oishi.
すぐに行くよ。じゃあ。
So maybe it was Shion who told her. I set the receiver down and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Okay. Mom had her own hobbies.
ケイチ、よろしくね。お夕飯までには帰るのよ。
じゃあ行ってくれよ。
I suppose I changed my clothes and grabbed my bike key. I climbed the stairs to my bedroom. Here she is. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth process.
ミオンと違ってシオンは待ち合わせ時間を守るな。しみじみ。
おねを標準にされるといろいろと困ります。
Shion seemed a little unsteady too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she?
お前も夕べは寝てないんだろ？隠しても無駄だぞ。で、学校を早退したに違いない。
残念でした。私はそもそも今日はずる休みしてますので。私、お姉より要領いいですから。
Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter.
じゃあ、先に用事を片付けます？時間もそんなにないですから。図書館へ行くんですよね。
ああ、頼むよ。お袋の借りてる本の返却期限が今日までらしいんで。図書館は遠いのか？
すぐ近くですよ。
As she said that, we spotted a signboard for the library almost immediately. If it was this easy to find, then I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. We rode around a bend and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. The first floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor, but it still looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. We passed through the automatic doors and were greeted by the cool breeze off the curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mild, dewy smell unique to old paper.
どこの図書館も似たようなもんだな。
Honestly, it's very nice to hang out in a library because, yeah, air conditioner all the time, and if it's hot outside, right? Just go to the library. If there was one difference, it was the people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory.
すみません、返却に来ました。
The librarian went through the process of checking them in and then returned my mom's library card. She was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to libraries very often.
悪いな、お待たせ。終わったよ。
図書館って涼しくていいところですね。私、 将来は図書館で働きたいです。
地味というか堅実というか、姉と比べると随分とささやかな希望だな。
Mion would definitely want to be a hardworking employee for an international trading company or some other crazy job that involved her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said, it's pretty heartwarming.
まあ互いの持ち味を大切にしたいですよね。私たち分身じゃなくてシオンとミオンというちゃんとした個人なんですから。
双子は双子なりにいろいろと考えてるんだな。でも楽しそうだよな。俺には兄弟はいないから、うちには俺以外は親しかいない。窮屈なもんだよ。
私だってそうです。お姉とは一緒に住んでるわけじゃないですから。
Oh right, she said something like that, didn't she? Why though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to the lounge area, which was vacant, and continuing the conversation.
え、お姉は本家に、私は沖宮の家に住んでるんです。
本家ってなんだ？
They keep saying the main house. Yeah, I guess they're super rich, and that main house is extremely big for sure, right?
随分と立派な響きがあるけどな。
Yeah, the way she's talking, main house. Just say house.
本家は本家です。園崎家の本家。
So this is gonna be like very, very big for sure.
お姉は跡取りだから、バッチャと一緒に住んで、いろいろと当主としての修行をさせられてるみたいです。
Mion, the head of the family. I wonder how it feels like to have something like that, like a very, very big family, right? And yeah, to have traditions like that.
ケイちゃんは引っ越してきたばかりでしたよね。自分で言うのもなんですけど、園崎家ってここいらじゃ結構名士なんですよ。
え、本当かよ。
The word personage didn't really match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Inoizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wide area.
園崎家はですね、親族全体で助け合う土壌があるんです。今の当主のバッチャが築き上げたんですけどね。
The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge living company. This let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed, one after another using large amounts of money.
沖宮の街を歩くことがあったら、看板とかを意識してみてください。園崎の親族が経営しているお店ってとても多いんですよ。
I mean, that's why you could guess right. Remember when there were the delinquents in the beginning, right? The couple episodes, first couple episodes, like the people would be helping them, right? Because I guess Shion was there. I guess if it was just Keiichi alone, they wouldn't really bother that much. But when Shion was there, they defended her. The Sonozaki family.
言われてみれば、例のおもちゃ屋も親類の人が経営してるみたいだったな。そういえば、エンジェルモートも親類の人が経営してるんじゃないのか？
Even what few shops I was familiar with were involved with the Sonozaki family. I mean, yeah, she did say the manager of Angel Mort is her uncle, right? It was definitely surprising.
特に金融不動産関係は強いですね。あと商工会議所の役員も何割かは園崎姓かその親類がついてます。沖宮一帯を評伝に市議会議員と県議会議員にも園崎がいますし。
See, they have a lot of influence and power.
ちょっと待て。なんだかすごい話になってきたぞ。
Her relatives operate shops in downtown Okonomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate. On the top of that, a lot of those in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives, and there are even people elected to local offices.
ひょっとして園崎家ってこの辺り一帯じゃすごいんじゃ。
Oh, is she just suddenly showing up like this?
すごいんです。
All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy.
どうもこんにちは。今日はデートですかな。羨ましいですね。
そうだと思ったら邪魔しないでほしかったですね。大石さん。
That was it. He was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much.
いえいえすみません。知ってる声が聞こえてきたのでついつい。
Oishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any signs of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I had with Mion.
前原さんでしたよね。
Yes?
あなたもタフな人ですね。園崎姉妹を二股かけるなんて。
Dude timing the Sonozaki sisters.
いや、そんな二股だなんて。
I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock.
ごめんなさい、ケイちゃん。私もうバイトの時間なんです。
そうなのか。
Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Now this weird man is here though.
また今度。バイトが終わったら電話します。
Okay.
夜なら電話大丈夫ですよね。
ああ、大丈夫だと思う。
じゃあ今夜電話しますので、その時に。じゃあ。
Shion left so fast, she was practically running. Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. I felt like I'd been left here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work. Yeah, maybe she doesn't want to deal with Oishi-san, right?
園崎のご令嬢とこれだけ親しくできるなんて、前原さんもなかなかの大物ですね。私も口の利き方を改めた方がいいかもしれません。
Oishi-san put a coin into a vending machine as he had something a bit appalling.
アイスティーでいいですか？ミルクは入れます？
いえ。
じゃあ入れますよ。
Order the most expensive one, Keiichi.
はいどうぞ。
He handed me a cup of tea filled to the brim with ice as I looked on absent-mindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but he did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Uishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other, but he's still engaged in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought about how I talked with Shion, it seemed like a total disaster.
前原さんは園崎さんのことをどれくらいご存知で？
さっき聞いた以上のことは何も。
Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion, other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family.
園崎家はこの地域一帯を牛耳ってるヤクザ屋さんです。
Oh, they're Yakuza.
ちなみに彼女のお父さんは関東でも有名なヤクザの大幹部さんです。
I mean, I guess so, right? Remember when Shion... It was at Tips, right? When Shion had, what do you call this? She had a driver, right? And yeah, they... I don't know the word, but yeah. I'll say escorted Keiichi to his house, right? Yeah. His driver had a pin, right? Or her driver, I mean.
ご存知でした？
Like a Yakuza pin.
大幹部って。
シオンさんのご自宅をご存知ないんですか？高い塀に有刺鉄線と監視カメラで守られた典型的なヤクザの組長宅ですよ。今度ぜひ遊びに行ってみてください。
She mentioned me on being a successor, but to a Yakuza group?
いえいえいえいえいえいえ。まさかまさか。園崎美音さんが継ぐのはそんなちんけなヤクザ組織だけじゃありません。 彼女が継ぐのは園崎家そのものですよ。そのあたりの意味、ちょっと噛みしめていただけますかな。
Oishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable.
ミオンさんがその気になれば、往来の真ん中で人殺しをしたってもみ消せちゃうかもしれないんですよ。
I mean, like we saw the people, right? Helping Shion and Keiichi back then. Oh, yeah, Mion could do that if she wanted to.
証人は現れないだろうし、警察にだって圧力をかけられますし。
ミオンは人殺しなんかしないぞ。
しませんしません、ものの例えですよ。
Okay.
大石さんでしたっけ、名前。
ねえ、そうです。
大石さん、ミオンの家が何だろうと、ミオンは俺の誇れる最高の友人です。それをあまりけなすような言い方は好きになれないですね。
I let my quiet anger show through in my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if I had an effect.
ではざっくばらんに、そのミオンさんにいくつかの事件の嫌疑がかかっているとしたらどう思います？
Suspected incidents? You can just say terrible stuff like that on a whim.
何かの誤解に決まってるじゃないですか。ミオンは物騒なことを言うやつだけど、そんな悪いことをするようなやつじゃない。
前原さん、お静かにお静かに。ここ図書館ですから。
Oishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calmed so easily.
落ち着いてください。さっきも申し上げました通り、園崎家はいい意味でも悪い意味でもこの辺り一帯で強い力を持っているんです。ですからちょっと何かあるとすぐに疑いがかかってしまう。その辺りをご理解いただきたいのですよ。
Well, I know what Oishi-san is trying to say. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is its successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her?
ですから私だって仕事で仕方なくやってるんです。ミオンさんを疑うためでなく、ミオンさんの疑いを晴らすために捜査をしている。そうお考えいただきたいのです。
He could talk a dog out of a meat truck. He was a definition of shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him.
大石さん、ひょっとして俺に用なんですか？
ねえ、そうですよ。前原圭一さん。
He answered in an absent tone of voice.
何かの事件でミオンを疑っていて、その友人の俺に何か聞きに来た。そういうことですか？
いえいえ、違います。私は園崎ミオンさんの友人と話をしに来たのではなく、前原圭一さんに話をしに来たのです。ご自宅にお伺いしたらご迷惑でしたでしょうからね。
俺に警察が何の用だって言うんですか？
Having realized this fake coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
そんなに構えなくて大丈夫ですよ。肩を楽にしてちょっと質問に答えてくださるだけでいいんです。
それって職務質問ってやつですか？
偶然知り合ったおじさんとの世間話ってことにしましょう。
Oishi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light which I could only see sometimes that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly unpleasant thought.
ゆうべは渡長市のお祭り、盛大で楽しかったですね。
はぐらかさないでください。今さら世間話なんかされても。
昨日の綿流しの晩、富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
So basically, he was asking us again, right? Just like in chapter 1. If you seen Tomitake-san and Takano-san. I could plainly feel myself give a
あ
start.
れ、写真はどこに行っちゃったかな？ああ、あったあった。
He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look.
さあ、どうでしょう。あったような、合わなかったような。
I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time too.
あれ？記憶が曖昧ですか？まさかアルコールが入っててよく覚えてないなんてのはなしにしてくださいよ。
Here too, I got the same answer as I had from Mion. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? The dark feelings I had nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was a tiny impulse, while it may not count for how much now, I do feel sorry about it.
もう一度お聞きしますよ。
That face.
ゆうべのお祭りで富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm very scared. That was exactly how I felt.
と、繰り返し聞かれても、答えはさっきと同じです。
I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit I had.
そうですか。改めて聞けば、さっきとは違う答えが返ってくるかなと思いましてね。
I'm too scared to look at Uishi-san in the eyes.
では、質問を変えます。ほら、前原さん。
This is scary though.
リラックス、リラックス。
Uishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt though. Still, why would he ask the same things as Mion? He's asking the same things, then the next question must be.
同じく夕べのお祭りなんですが、園崎しおんさんにお会いしませんでしたか？
Now Shion, so yeah, basically asking what Mion was asking, right? I wonder what that sound was, and when I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I easily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it.
すみません。あったかもしれないですけど、ほら、ミオにもそっくりですから。
But the thing is, yeah, no one really saw them, at least, right, in the storehouse.
ミオンと見間違えてるかも。
Or unless Oishi had, or maybe someone actually saw them, right?
そんなわけはないでしょう。
Suddenly, Uishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This must be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This was the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare.
ミオンさんもシオンさんも服装は全然違うんですから。
Honestly, it's very hard to lie, right? Involving Shion and Mion because, yeah, different personalities, different outfits, different hairstyle.
そう簡単に見間違えるはずはありませんよ。
Yes.
前原さん。
His voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why are Mion and Uishi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking into the storehouse so bad? I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomitaki-san casually said it too. Check it out. Even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me. No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse.
おいさん、
Kuma-san is here as well.
ホタルの光っす。
A young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Uishi-san's subordinate.
んありゃ本当だ。
What did he say? Okay, our cue, okay.
もう閉館なんですね。
I hadn't realized it until he said something. The jingle and announcement telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it.
じゃあ前原君、もうこんな時間なんで私たちは失礼させてもらいます。このお話はもっと時間のある時にのんびりといたしましょう。
Wait, don't leave yet though. You didn't say who died though. I guess Takano and Tomitake are still missing, both of them, right? But who died? This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Oishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around.
そうそう前原さん、
なんですか？
さっきさせてもらった2つの質問ですが、どちらの回答もよく覚えてないでしたよね。
はい。
参考までに、あなた昨日全員にお会いしてますよ。4人で楽しそうに歩いてたじゃないですか。石段のところで。私がこの目で見てますから。
I caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew and he was testing me.
ではまたお会いしましょう。良いお年を。
Yeah, it didn't say who was missing and who died, right? I sat there like a rock, unmoving, until I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of the footsteps. Higurashi, When They Cry. I was on my way back home. The cries of the Higurashi accentuated? I'm sorry. The already lonely evening. More time had passed than I thought. The orange of the dusky sky was being chased down little by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing, I had gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I had done something wrong. No, in fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. I mean, if you're in Keiichi's shoes, right? And you have your friend there, Shion, and then the other people, right? The older people, Tomitake Takano. Would you go in the storehouse as well? Out of curiosity? I mean, I guess most people would go in, right? I think most people would go in. I would probably go in as well. Like, I want to see what's inside of this place, right? It really was no more than a quiet prank, no more than having the courage to cross at the red light, as long as you did it with other people. Yes. But yeah, if you're alone, yeah, he most likely wouldn't go inside that. But with people with you, yeah, you would go. The storehouse for ritual implements, hallowed ground only accessible to the family or the priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I never imagined would be there. Think of it on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside. It didn't make the wrong I had committed any more right. What the four of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do something bad? Really? It doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. It was nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I won't ever do something like that again either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I apologize like that, would they forgive me? The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment. However, as it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to head home as soon as possible. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, but nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. That might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I've made the decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called me from downstairs.
ケイチ電話よ園崎さんから
Oh yeah, Shion said she was gonna call, right? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She had something she wanted to tell me today. Oishi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight.
もし
What
も
do
し
you want? What do you want, Shion?
シオンか。
どうも。今日は災難でしたね。
She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
そんなこと言わないでください。私、ケイちゃんに一緒に逃げようってサインを送ったじゃないですか。
Hey, what do you want Keiichi to do though? If you ran away, it's gonna be super suspicious then.
なのにケイちゃん、ぼさっと残っちゃって。
ボサってことはないだろう。シオンがあっという間に置いてきぼりにしたんで、あの後俺は大石のおっさんにたっぷり付き合わされたんだぜ。
そんなの、私に愚痴られても困ります。
I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion and yet inside she's this different. I got a little irritated myself and I realized I was somewhere in my mind hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person.
ああ、悪かったよ。次からはシオンを置いてくぐらいのつもりで真っ先に逃げ出すようにする。
できればレディーファーストでお願いします。
Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be...
それより俺に何か話があるんだろ。
Wait, what? You just stopped, right?
はい。もしも、もう知ってるなら、改めて言うような話じゃないんです。知ってますか？
What do you mean, do you already know? Shion lowered her voice suddenly as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know.
悪いけど、何のことかさっぱりわからないぞ。ヒントくらい出せ。
ってことは、知らないみたいですね。
She seemed to take my stupid sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest.
実は、昨日の綿流しのお祭りの晩なんですけど。
My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing?
もしもし、ケイちゃん、聞いてます？
ああ、聞いてる。昨日の晩どうしたんだよ。
私たち4人、入ったじゃないですか。
She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't happened.
それでその後、みんなで歩いて、 石段のあたりで私たちみんな別れましたよね。高野さんたちは沢に行って、ケイちゃんはその場に残って、私は親類の人たちのところに行っちゃって。
ああ、それがどうした？
お互い質問の返し合いになっちゃうと拉致が開かないんで、私からまず質問します。いいですか？
ゆうべ富武さんと高野さんに会いませんでしたか？だろ？
はい。あの後、あの二人には会いましたか？
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on?
どうしてだよ。だからどうしてそれを俺に聞くんだよ。
ほらほら、ケイちゃん。質問は私からのはずです。答えてください。
シオンはあったのか？シオンが先に答えたら俺も答える。
My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me.
もちろん、会ってません。一緒にいた親類が証明できます。
俺だって会ってない。証明って言うならミオンとかレナとかみんながしてくれる。
Now that we know our answers match, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else.
正直に答えてくれてありがとうございます。じゃあ言いますね。ゆうべ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。
Wait, so both of them died this time? What?
ごめん、シオン。
So there's no one who got onikakushi'd?
今なんて言った？
ゆうべ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。高野さんは焼死体で。
She actually burned to death. She kept talking about being burned this, burned that, grilling this, and she got burned to death.
富武さんは自殺みたいな感じで今朝知ったんです。
So Tomitake, it's the same like last time, I suppose.
お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて。
Late last night, a police car on its way back from the festival security had discovered Tomitake-san lying in the middle of the road, heading towards Okinomiya. He had clawed out his throat and died. Jesus, man, the music. But yeah, same thing. Yeah, he died like this again.
なんだよ、喉をかきむしっての自殺って。あの明るそうな富武さんが自殺？何かの間違いだろ。
警察がちゃんと検視したんです。自分の爪でガリガリと喉をかきむしって血管を破いて血をドバドバ出して。
But this is what I didn't understand in the first game. Like, this happened to Tomitake, right? But for him, he was pretty normal, right? And then afterwards he died. For Keiichi, he was slowly losing his mind, right? And then he died in the phone booth in chapter 1, right? I guess the same way. He clawed out his throat as well, right? But why for Tomitake? Like, it was instant. Like, he just died, right? On the night. And then for Keiichi, it took a little more longer, right?
自分の血で溺れ死んだんだって。
そんなバカな自殺聞いたことないぞ。自分の喉をかき破るなんておかしすぎる。
I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my room.
大声出してごめん。で、高野さんも自殺なのか？
Can you even burn yourself to death? Come on now.
高野さんは自殺かどうかちょっと。
Like, burning yourself is I think, one of the most gruesome ways to die, right? Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of the Gifu Prefecture. Gifu? Employees at the rest stop nearby reported to police late that night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first one to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after, there was a request for a dental comparison from the XX Prefectural Police Station in Okonomiya, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere in the area. Okay.
灯油管が転がってたそうなんで、焼身自殺の線もあるそうです。
自殺なわけあるものか。同じ死ぬならもっと楽な方法がいくらでもあるだろう。
Yeah, you could just jump off a cliff, right? In an instant.
こんなの絶対に自殺なものか。
私だってそう思ってます。富武さんのだって自殺だなんて考えられない。
But yeah, for Tomitaki-san as well. Yeah. I don't know. After the two eyes rattled on each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. And as we calmed our nerves, right then I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
お社様のたたりってことになると思います。
Ooh, so she's thinking both of them died, right? Because they messed with the storehouse, and now it's Shion and Keiichi's turn.
私たちたたられるのに十分な資格がありますから。
Both of them are gonna be paranoid now.
資格って冗談じゃないぞ。別に俺は。
She didn't want to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I felt silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault and no one else.
シオン、お前は昨べ細工殿の中に忍び込んだらこうなるかもしれないと予想はついてたのか？
まさか。そりゃ多少はヤバいとは思いましたけど、こんなことになるなんて夢にも思いませんでした。
Okay, sorry. Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me.
それよりもケイちゃん、ちょっとよく考えてください。今年のお社様のたたりはおかしくないですか？
It was already plenty strange seeing as how Tomitaki-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger?
死体が2つ見つかったってことです。言いましたよね。例年は1人が死んで1人が消えるんです。
Yeah, one die, one disappear. So what happens now? So two people die. So what's gonna happen? Two people is gonna disappear?
2人の死亡が確認されたのは今年が初めてです。
確かにそうかもしれないけど、そんなのは大した問題じゃないだろう。
いいえ、ケイちゃん、もっと真剣に考えてください。いいですか？2人の死がお社様のたたりということになってるなら、お社様の怒りを鎮めるための生贄もまた2人分必要なはずなんです。
そういう理屈になるのか？じゃあなんだよ。富武さんと高野さんが死んだ陰で今年は2人が行方不明になってるってのか？
I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze.
まだ誰も行方不明になってないと思います。多分2人が失踪するのはこれからじゃないかと思うんです。
She, unlike me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back.
これから2人が失踪する。
Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart. Cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomitaki-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual Soros and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them, none other than us.
まさか冗談だろ。
I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomitaki-san and Takana-san had died in a common way like a car accident, I couldn't tell myself it was coincidence. Or I could tell myself. Instead, he clawed out his own throat and she burned to death, drowned in oil in the mountains. The 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away.
大地、そんなの新聞に出てないぞ。そんなに奇怪な事件なら絶対に新聞やテレビで報道するはずだろう。雑誌記者とかだって面白がって大勢来るに決まってる。
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
When the incidents occurred for the 3rd year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
村長とか、あと園崎家出身の金バッジが警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
じゃあつまり2人の死は秘密裏に処理されてしまったということか。
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
This story was unbelievable. People died and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret.
もっと噛み砕いて言うと、綿流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな話があってたまるか。
ケイちゃん、私以前にお社様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いましたよね。つまりそういうことなんです。 このひなみ沢では毎年綿流しの夜にお社様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
When someone dies on the night of Watanagashi, it turns into a curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret.
バカな！毎年死者と行方不明者が出るんだろう。いくらマイナスイメージって言ったって警察にも限度があるだろう。
毎年の事件が不可解っていうなら警察も本腰を入れられるんでしょうけど、何しろ毎年の事件は個別に解決してますので連続事件という形にならないんですよ。たまたま毎年綿流しの晩に不幸なことが起こる、それだけのことに。
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was in essence resolved. The damn supporting couple who died in an accident on the 2nd year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the 3rd year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had the trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. On the 4th year, the sister-in-law of the dam-supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of irregular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while in prison, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved.
なのになぜか毎年綿流しの晩に不幸な偶然が起こる。
Because something is making you guys go crazy for sure.
連続事件にしたくても連続にならないんです。それでも毎年必ず誰かが死んで誰かが消えていく。
The thing is, you can argue with the craziness, right, of someone dies, but the disappearance, I think it connects to the people we saw on chapter 1 by the end, right? Yeah, those guys trying to take Keiichi, I suppose, right? So I guess those guys are getting the other people and they're disappearing because of that, right? Maybe. That's only my, what do you call this, theory? The story Takano told me on the day before during the setup, and now that the recurse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off.
じゃあ俺たちも狙われるっていうのか。毎年一人死ぬと一人が消えるように富武さんや高野さんの道連れに消えさせられるっていうのかよ。
My lips had at some point become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me.
俺たちそりゃ確かに入っちゃいけないところだったかもしれないが見ただけだぜ。何かを盗んだり持ち出したり見たことを誰かに喋ったわけじゃないんだぜ。
I was already regretting having committed such wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomitake-san and Takano-san deserved such a cruel death?
第一俺はあんなの見ても全然面白くなかったし高野さんが見て一人で大喜びしてただけだろ。悪いのは高野さんだけだよ。俺は全然関係ないぜ。興味もないし関係ないしあの中にあったものだって知ったことじゃない。
Damn, I feel Keiichi is gonna go in the deep end again in this chapter, because yeah, of these things. I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted and my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore.
俺はもともと興味なんか全然なかったんだ。リカちゃんの演舞を見ていたかっただけなんだ。それをシオンが勝手に連れ出したんじゃないか。
Okay, now he's blaming Shion now. I mean, I guess Shion pulled him away, right?
あの二人が泥棒しようが合いびきしようがしたことじゃない。そうだよ。そもそもシオンが中に入ろうって言い出したんだ。
Okay, let's see what Shion says.
ケイちゃんは見ておく必要があるとかなんとか思わせぶりなことを言って中に引き込んだんだ。
You were like, Kei-chan, come here.
どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ。どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いてる。
Imagine if she put the phone down already, right? The hell? Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of receiver being slammed down. So she was listening to all of it, and then she slammed down the phone afterwards. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled up emotions disappeared as if they never existed, and in their place surged waves of deep regret and having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okonomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. But yeah, doesn't phones have calling, what do you call it? Caller ID? I forgot what's it called. I haven't used a phone in a long time. I mean, a landline, I mean. I returned the receiver to its stand and simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion. Calm down and call me again. Oh, she's actually calling.
もしもし、前原です。
I swept the receiver as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at the exact
あ
moment.
の、前原さんのお宅でしょうか。
Hey, who the hell is this?
夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。
Kimiyoshi? What, who is this? Who are you?
ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか。
It was the voice of a girl who clearly wasn't Shion. All my hopes rushed out of me.
いえ、違いますけど、親父に用なら呼んできます。
I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly.
あ、いえいえ、お忙しければ結構なんです。実は恐縮なんですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してませんでしょうか。
Oh, Kimiyoshi. Yeah, they mentioned Kimi. I think they mentioned him,
Yeah.
right?
誰も来てませんけど。
そうですか。夜分遅くに申し訳ありませんでした。失礼いたします。
Okay, I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are the selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought about that Shion had given up hope in a short time since we had our conversation and didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. Dude, honestly, I should have write the names of whoever we see new. I should have a note here and write. I think Kimiyoshi's the head of Hinamizawa, something like that, right? I mean, she said her dad, right? The one who was calling. So he's missing. So he got Onikakushi. But I should write the names, and whenever we get new names, because a lot of things happens in this game, and sometimes you can forget like the small moments, like they mentioned these guys, and yeah, I kind of forgot. But yeah, I think it was the head of Hinamizawa or something, mayor. I just forgot. But yeah, something like that. Okay, let's check this out from the scrapbook 6. The significance of Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifice and feasting on them. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of the disparity between being both an egregious act and a form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about the explanation. As with the most oral traditions, it's not as easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Onigafuchi village felt fear towards the ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit, but it said that the feast, the dissection was an obligatory viewing. Who the hell would want to see that, honestly, though? This is an extremely curious tale. Until now, I thought that the residents of Onigafuchi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like a fish, and by eating them, they reaffirmed their own holiness. At least that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not fascination but fear, then that would just suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's a possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow religious precepts created by those with power for their own convenience. Onigafuchi village has been effectively ruled over by 3 old families called the Three Families. Without investigating the 3 families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Onigafuchi village. This chapter, man, or this episode, I mean, that we did today. Very nice, yes. Number 7. The three families refers to the three old families who effectively came to rule Onagafuchi village. To break it down, the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family, and each of them still exists today. Though they don't have as much as control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. The three families are considered by legend to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons run the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the three families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Kimiyoshi, Kimiyoshi, yes, is from this family. So the mayor, yes. The fact that the members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be the remnant of the old system. Of course, as no rival candidates appears, it doesn't change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office even through popular elections in the post-war era. The Furude family, so they are the priests. The center of the village fate since ancient times, the Furude clan has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power. It now consists only the main house. The main house as well presently consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage might end in this generation. Okay. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter Rika is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. Sonozaki family. It's said that the family had certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onagafuchi village. So Kimiyoshi is the leaders, and then the Furude family is the religious one, right? And then the Sonozaki family is the muscle, basically. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from putting them here last. Of course, the Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among three families have completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. The three families conferring with each other is similar to the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Oryu, essentially decides all of the going on or in the village by herself. So that was it. Very nice. I like these tips, man. I wish games or more games as like this. The visual novels I played back then doesn't really have things like this. Like these tips goes in depths on or in depth on what's happening.
夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申しますが、ご主人でいらっしゃいますか。はい。いえいえ、その説は本当にありがとうございます。それでですね、こんな時間に大変恐縮なのですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してないかと思いまして。ですよね。はい。こんな時間に申し訳ありませんでした。それでは失礼いたします。ごめんください。
どうだい？ダメ？
参ったな。どんなに熱中しても電話くらいはしてくれる人なんだけれどな。
囲碁の人の家は全部電話したんでしょ？
はい、君吉です。
園崎です。どうです？
ミオン。
村長さんは見つかりましたか？
ああ、ミオンちゃんか。片っ端から電話をかけてみたけどダメだよ。見つからないんだ。参ったな。どこで油を売ってるのかな。
こっちでも心当たりにいろいろと問い合わせましたけど、全然。ばっちゃんにも相談したんですが、青年団を招集して探し回った方がいいだろうということです。
こんな時間にかい。それに別に行方不明になったと決まったわけでもないし。
綿流しの直後ですから、少し慎重に扱った方がいいとのことです。それでも見つからないなら、明朝警察に通報しましょう。見つかる見つからないは別にして、 痛くない腹を探られない方がいいでしょうから。
おりょうさんがそう言ったのかい。
はい。直接声を聞かないと信用できないなら電話先に出させますよ。
いえ、わかりました。青年団を集めて探しましょう。それで見つからなければ翌朝に警察に通報します。
青年団の連絡もよろしくお願いしますね。私もバッチャの代行ということでそちらに参ります。
ありがとう。すぐにみんなを集めます。
ええ。では。
Okay, that was it. But yeah, they're pretty much showing us that the mayor is gone, and yeah, the phone calls and stuff like that. All of them are very, what do you call this, on edge, I suppose, because it was Watanagashi, right? And yeah, you could go missing, right? Missing, dead, who knows. But this episode was really good. I really loved it. Like, the slice of life stuff was over, right? And then you shifted to this one. I mean, last episode was pretty tense as well because of Takano, right? But this one was really good. And we see Keiichi again being very, I mean, I guess if you like, if you're if you are in his position, and yeah, Takano and Tomitake just died, right? And 4 of you were inside that. Of course, you're gonna be panicking, right? That was normal. You're gonna be panicking, but let's see if he goes to the deep end again, like last chapter, right? So we'll have to see. But I think if it ever happens, it's gonna be him and Shion, who's gonna be like him again, Keiichi again, right? But yeah, him and Shion might be, yeah, be seeing things, hearing things, stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting to see what kind of ending is in this part, right? I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen in this chapter. How is it gonna finish? And yeah, we got 2 deaths, right? Takano burned to death, and then Tomitake, pretty much same as what happened last time, right? So, and then Kimiyoshi, the mayor, they didn't say dead. They just said kind of missing, right? So what happens, right? You will have to see. Very, very interesting today. So yes, anyways, we will continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2, Watanagashi, in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.